Hello everybody, I am Zdravko from Vagabond Home, and first of all, sorry about my bad English. Uh, so I am here to talk about rooftop tents and our personal experience with them and why we love them so much. And rooftop tents are getting extremely popular in the last years, something we are very happy about. And this spring, we were in Germany to a similar event which had over 800 tents. It was really incredibly big. And rooftop tents, they really offer a lot of advantages. They, what is the most important for me is that they open and close really fast, and they let you to be extremely mobile, and you can even comfortably sleep every day on a different place because you really everything like your sleeping bags, everything inside stays open, and you just need to close the tent and you are ready to go. If your setup is mobile with chairs and everything, you can be very fast and it's not a pain to move. And they usually, it is easy to attach and detach them from a car, something like 1 hour, let's say. So when you decide that for a long period of time you won't use your tent, you can detach it and store it somewhere so it doesn't increase fuel consumption. And another very important thing is that you stay high on the car, and this way you are away from bugs, snakes, and everything else. Also, bears, they are invented generally for exhibitions in for expeditions in Africa. So you stay away from wild animals. You are better prepared, let's say, and better protected.
Like
And yes, yes, exactly, like lions, hyenas, and so on. Here we don't have so much dangerous animals, but it's better you are higher from moisture and everything else you carry. Let's say you almost have the comfort of your own bed. Even we feel better sleeping in the tent generally, and uh, and that's why they are getting so popular. And although they have a lot of advantages, they also have some disadvantages, and everyone has to decide on his own whether they suit his needs and so on. Uh, they make they increase the fuel consumption. You need generally a big car with a stable way to attach the tent, and for example, if you don't if you like camping on one place longer, staying on the same place longer, it is probably not the best option. The modern market has almost every option available. Like it has big campers, it has caravans for really long stays, it has teardrop caravans, it has this tent trailers and everything available for every different need. Uh, and What is special about Vagabond Home? Vagabond Home is the first tent that features the real two layers of fabric constructions that is used in modern exhibition tents, and it makes it extremely suitable for bad weather conditions and also for each type of weather conditions, from rain and cold weather to very hot weather. It is really reconfigurable. And also we have added a lot of cool features inside, probably more than 10 advantages over the other tents. And the most recent one of them is the lifting the adjustable backrest. And it is very good if the weather is bad. If it is if it gets cold at night and you have to go to the tent, you can use it and read books, watch movies, and so on. And the interior is very good, is very comfortable because you don't see any mechanisms because they are hidden between the two layers of fabric. Also, it, it has really comfortable dimmable lighting in 4 points, and it has a special mechanism that allows you to close the tent more easily, that locks the gas springs, and you can comfortably put the fabric inside without holding the roof and doing it like this. And also the shells are made by vacuum infusion and they don't emit any smell of polyester resin in the first years. And now I want to talk to you about our journeys in the recent years with our tent and why is it so special to us. So our first big journey was with the prototype tent, uh, much before we started production, and we went to Morocco with one very long ferry boat from Genoa to Gibraltar, which saves the driving across Spain and France. And to the south, we went very close to the border with Western Sahara, and to the east, we went 20 kilometers from the border with Algeria, generally. And here we are at the port of Tanger, where generally the ferry boat stops. It is a very beautiful town, in my opinion. I liked it most from all the towns in Morocco. What is very special about Morocco is that every big town has its Medina. This is the small city center with the old city center with very small streets. And in Morocco, they are extremely colorful and extremely beautiful with really nice architecture. Of course, they are dirty like every Arabian city, and they are full of life. And every one of the Medinas has its speciality. Uh, Here is the Medina about making carpets and fabrics. Uh, there was in Tiznit, the Medina was specialized in silver, for example. And here we are on the way to Tupkal Peak. It is 4,160 meters tall. Generally, you can reach with your car up to 2,200 meters in the last villages. And you need, from several years ago, you need a guide. It is forbidden to go without a guide, but we know a very good one. Our one was very nice. And this is the mountain chalet of the French mountain club, which is, if I remember, 3,200 meters above sea level. And then you have something about 1,000 meters climbing up. And we traveled in December, and there was about 20 to 40 centimeters of snow at this time and ice. And you need this stuff for walking on ice generally. But the trek is easy. The mountain is really rocky with almost no vegetation above 3,000 meters. And here is the view from Tupkal. It is actually, the Atlas Mountains are very special because they follow the Atlantic coast and they are very high and very long, and they collect all the rain. The weather in Morocco comes from the north, from the west. They collect all the rain on their western slopes, and they form the beginning in Sahara because east of the Atlas Mountains there is no rain. And here we are in Marrakesh, which is probably the most famous city in Morocco. And what is very special about the cities, Morocco is generally a very poor country with low standard of living, and in the villages you can unfortunately see a lot of people who are living in houses made from mud and so on, and don't have electricity, water, or carry grass on their backs because they even don't have donkeys. But the town, the city centers, the new city center, which is not the Medina, is really modern with very big streets with incredible infrastructure. And there is a very big difference in the quality of living between the cities and the countryside. And here we are in the Majorelle Gardens and the villa of Yves Saint Laurent, and there was an incredibly modern museum about Yves Saint Laurent, showing really how Morocco has influenced his work. And actually, has somebody of you been to Morocco? Really, a lot of people. Do you want to share some impression? Like, what is the most, let's say, how do you remember it in 2 words? Huh. we haven't we haven't been there, unfortunately, but we have been in the fish market in Rabat, and it was also a big experience. And here it is a bit of a funny place. We are in paragliding all-inclusive complex. You can take off from here, fly, and land here eventually. If you land somewhere else, it is all full of cactus like this big, and it is life-threatening. And there are bungalows and restaurants on the side of the ocean. It was very beautiful. And this up there is probably generally the southernmost point that we reached. It is one very beautiful rock formation above the ocean. And each evening on sunset, this man there with the camel parks it under the ark for making photos and for camel rides. And yes, in Morocco, you really have really a lot of camels everywhere that you drive. And here we are trying to feed a camel. And here there was a very interesting crocodile park. Crocodiles have unfortunately disappeared from 50 years ago, but there live the most happy crocodiles who are who have plenty of food and are too lazy to swim, unfortunately. And here are some exotic birds. These here are storks staying on a tree because they don't need nests. And to the right, these are both ibises. It was very funny that we just woke up one morning in the tent on the beach of the ocean, and we saw these birds, and we found out that they are both ibises, and only 2,000 of them have left worldwide. And 500 of them are in the national park Sus Massa, where we actually slept. And here is a very nice village with a very interesting port. Actually, the ports in Morocco, which the fishermen use, they don't have. Morocco doesn't have any canyons because the ocean makes everything flat, and it makes big waves and so on. So natural ports are like this beach, and inside the water there are some rocks which are crushing the waves, and generally the fishermen come with the boat, and the tractor with a trailer waits on the beach and carries it up. In the previous year, they have done this with donkeys, and the tractor here carries probably for 15 minutes. It carries 100 boats on the beach, one by one. The fishermen work in very bad conditions. Actually, they go at night in the winter, and they fish all the night around 8 to 10 degrees, and then they come back in the morning. And here is we found a very nice takeoff about paragliding, but unfortunately the police arrested us after this. And we spent a few hours in the cabinet of the policeman. What is the problem with the police is that they are very well paid with very good quality, with very good standard, and they think that they are very important. And if they decide that something disturbs them or so on, they go and they want to do something and they don't know what they are doing actually. And here, this is on the next day, we are spending the Christmas Eve actually in one very beautiful oasis. So the oasis in Maroco is not the same as I expected and what I have seen on pictures. It is a river which is flowing across the desert and creates some small space for agriculture. And yes, and actually here we got very away from the village. We crossed the river with the car and so on, stopped the car, and this here turned out to be the garden of one man. We thought that we were completely out. And of course, as an Arabian man, he invited us to drink tea. And here, this is generally the most western point of our journey. This is the dunes of Merzouga. It is a small spot of dunes, which is the biggest, I think, for Morocco. It is 20 kilometers high by 8 kilometers wide, and you can get some very steep dunes. It is, yes, they very easily dunes make you to start driving and driving above them and having fun, but you should be careful because we almost turned over. Luckily, we didn't. We were safe. And what was very important about this spot of dunes was the incredible changes in temperature. So at night it was dropping to about 0 degrees, and around 2 o'clock it was probably 40 degrees every day. And when we left the tent in the morning at sunrise, the sand was feeling as you are walking on snow. And here, this up on the right is the Chefchaouen town. It is all painted in blue, especially the lower floors. Everything is blue, and nobody knows why. There are a lot of theories that it prevents from mosquitoes or that it attracts tourists, and I think that it attracts tourists. And it is in the northern part of the Atlas Mountains, close to Gibraltar, and the climate in Morocco changes really a lot. There it is moist, it is cold, it gets probably at this period of the year, it gets to under 0 degrees at night. And it is very moist, and it has these big forests and so on. It looks like Greece in April, where everything is totally green and sunny. And there are these macaques, which are the native monkeys. They are also present in Gibraltar. They have passed with ships, and their population is unfortunately decreasing because they integrate to the people really easily. Here, these monkeys are very well known. They are staying on one mountain pass, and they know that all the tourists go there and feed them with bananas, like Eva, who is giving a banana. And our next journey was in Tunisia, which is much closer to Bulgaria and much easiest to live. And generally, we have started, went south, south, south to the desert, to the South Lakes, and came back. And unfortunately, Tunisia Tunisia is also a very beautiful country, but unfortunately, it is very dirty. Like with really a lot of rubbishes everywhere, and the towns they don't have any system for collecting rubbish, and it is really this is something driving people away from the towns. And yes, here this is Cape Angela. This is the northernmost point of Africa, and it is incredibly beautiful. And as usual, it was blowing around 50 kilometers per hour wind. And here, this is the amphitheater of El Gem. It is really beautiful one. It is probably 2 times more bigger than the one in Roma, and it is very well. It is under UNESCO, and it is very well preserved and very good. And here is the National Park of Bullheadma, which is all. They are trying to develop populations there of animals who has disappeared, and there are herds of different animals walking around, and they are isolated, but it is a very big place. And what is special about that you can go there, and if you are very patient to enter, then a ranger comes in your car and he drives you around and shows you all the different animals. And here is the very beautiful canyon of Gafsa, and a lot of it is not so popular, but a lot of tourists go there, and everybody tells that there is no train. But after we walked for an hour, the train came. And this place here is the Camel's Neck, very close to on the end of one of the salt lakes. But you have to be incredibly careful with camel rides because this one was really expensive. You need to choose very well the place yes, for a camel ride. And here, this is for the lovers of Star Wars. There are really a lot. There are several Star Wars museums, but unfortunately, they are not very good. Most stuff has disappeared. And here is another very beautiful canyon, the Canyon of Mides, which is yes, which is a good example of how local people don't know how to earn money actually, and how to collaborate with European people and so on, because they want to earn some money, but they don't offer anything, and they just want to collect some money, and they make a restaurant which almost doesn't offer anything, or they want to get money for the parking or so on. And they have really a nice potential actually for tourists, but they don't understand how to do it. And here, this is the biggest salt lake in Tunisia, the Chott El Djerid, and it is incredibly big. It is generally in the beginning of the desert, the semi-desert, uh, and there is an asphalt road in between, and it is all covered by mud. That when you get out of the way and go closer to the water and down, you start sinking. And a lot of off-roaders drive on it, and they say that it is suitable for driving with high speed, but we haven't tested this because, yeah. And then south from this south lake, we went to the last oasis in the south direction, the one of those which is famous as the entrance of the desert. There was an incredibly nice campground which is owned by a French lady, 50 or 60 years old, and it is something like a campsite, parking, or auto service, because there go all the off-roaders, they go in the desert in the morning, they break the cars, they come back, they try to fix the cars pulling them, and so on, and in the morning everyone disappears again. And here we hired this very nice guide Mahmoud, who who taught us and drove us driving on high dunes. And here I'm not repairing the Discovery, which is important to say, but I'm deflating the tires. And here with Eva, we are making Sahara bread. It is actually a very easy recipe. All around the dunes, there are some bushes which are dry, and you can use them to make fire. They get like this, the thickest they get like this, but you can get a lot of them, and you can make a proper fire. It is very nice actually. They are totally dry, and after we had a fog in the morning, all of them got green and they got like this bigger just for one day. And with the Sahara bread, you make fire, you take it away, you put the bread very thin on the sun, cover it with the fire, and it gets ready in 5 minutes. And here is the Tembain Mount, which is a rock formation above the dunes, and you have very good view across the desert. And here is generally the last place that we have been in the desert. This is the Xargiwan Oasis, which is a natural mineral spring in the desert. And this pool there is about 42 degrees hot, I think. And it is clean, and you can swim, and it is very beautiful because you have the dunes and the oasis with the palms. And what is very nice about Tunisia and the dune and the desert is that it is it has really big area of sand dunes, incredibly big, actually, probably more than 100 kilometers. This is the Grand Terre Oriental field, which is the second one biggest in the world. It is between Algeria and Tunisia, and there are a lot of people are, for example, caring for camels and so on, and there are routes marked on the offline navigations that are somehow better, and people go, and if you get stuck, there is a chance that somebody comes in the day. For example, we rescued one motorcycle who had no tools, and he managed to repair it with our tools. And you you really have a point when you are driving in the dunes in Tunisia. You know that you want to go there, you follow the route, and you don't do so much stupid things like just driving in dunes. And in Tunisia, there is a lot of Roman heritage, and there is the Carthagene heritage. But unfortunately, Carthagene has been completely destroyed by the Romans. Even parts of the stones from the baths of Carthagene were carried with ships to the tower in Pisa and used as a material. And here, this is the water temple. This is where the water for the Carthagene is catched. There is a very well preserved temple, and there is this aqueduct which is 132 kilometers long, and it is carrying the water to Carthagene, and it is something like a closed tube built 600 years ago before Christ, about 2.5 meters in diameter and 132 kilometers long. And as every big journey, we had some troubles. In the last days, the wind got incredibly strong. We had to go outside of the desert. And at this point, we wanted to go to the mountains, but it was impossible. And we wanted to go back to Italy, but unfortunately, we wanted to get earlier tickets for the ferry, but unfortunately, they delayed it with 2 days because of the bad weather. And we stayed there, and we generally didn't have what to do because in the desert there is sandstorm, and outside of the desert everything is in incredible wind. And yes, this is the end of our journey. Every one of these journeys to Africa for us starts with one very big ship, and the ferry boats are generally 200 meters long, something like 25 meters high above water level, and they carry something like 800 cars and 2,000 people on board. They are really incredibly big. And one friend asked me, okay, I have a terrible seasickness. Can I feel it? And I said to him, no, actually, it is the ground here is shaking more because the ship is so big. And the next ferry that we catch from Dures to Bari, there was one very interesting storm, and the ship started doing left, right, poof, above the waves. It was really incredible, and we had to catch for the bets. And this is it. The ships are really some part of the fun. Thank you.